crying house horror story. One girl went to school. There she made new friends and they began to return home from school together. Each time they passed an old house, the yard of which was overgrown with tall nettles, and the trees pulled crooked branches without leaves. The girlfriends told the girl that it was a crying house. "Why is he crying?" the girl asked. "Because sometimes you can hear someone crying in the house, even though no one has lived there for many years," the girlfriend said. "And they also said that children disappear here, especially during the rains, and then they are found dead. So stay away from this house." But no matter how many times the girl did not walk past the crying house, she never heard anyone crying there. One day, on a cold rainy day, as always dreary and unpleasant, the girl was walking home alone from school and saw a boy standing near a crying house. "Hey," the girl called, remembering the conversations of her friends. "Did you hear someone crying there?" The boy turned around and looked at the girl carefully. "No," he said, "no one is crying there." "There's no need to go there," the girl said. She was afraid that the boy would be found dead later. "I wasn't going to," the boy replied. He approached the girl. The girl saw that he was soaked and shivering, so she handed him her umbrella. But he didn't take it. "Do you know who lived there?" "What is it?" he asked suddenly. The girl shook her head. "One family," said the boy. "They had a daughter. Just like you. They lived here happily. Until they had a second child. So it's good," the girl was delighted. "The two children will have more fun." The boy shook his head. No, the girl did not like that her parents began to love the second child more, so she took a large knife in the kitchen and cut off his head. And the parents, when they found out everything, got scared, took the girl and left. "No one knows where to go." "You're lying," the girl said. "No," the boy replied. "Come on, I'll show you everything." But the girl was scared. "I'm not going." "Don't be afraid, we won't go into the house," the boy said and went around, skirting the nettle bushes far away. The girl followed him. They walked around the house and stopped near the oldest tree. It was completely leafless, although other trees that grew far from home were covered with orange and red autumn foliage. A shallow pit was dug near the tree. "Here," said the boy, pointing to the pit. "They buried him here." "Who?" the girl asked. "The boy with the severed head." "How do you know about this?" The girl was surprised. The boy raised his head high and the girl saw a terrible scar on his neck. She wanted to scream, but she couldn't. "I wanted to run away, but my feet seemed rooted to the ground." "Why did you do that?" Suddenly the boy asked. "What did you do?" The girl was surprised. "Why did you cut off my head?" The girl shook her head. "No," she said, "it wasn't me. I would never do that." And she began to cry. But not because she was afraid of the boy. That's not why at all. And the boy stood and looked at her. People who passed by the old house heard crying and tried to get away faster. The Queen of the Ants horror story. One boy was constantly torturing and killing ants. He tore off their paws and burned them with burning matches. He threw ants into spider webs and watched them trying in vain to get out of there. He could fill an anthill with water, or catch ants from one anthill and throw them near another to arrange a massacre. He collected ants in a jar, and then poured hot boiling water into the jar at home. The boy's parents did not know about this, otherwise he would have been punished. One day the boy was walking on the street and was thinking about what else he could do with the ants. Then a woman came up to him, wrapped in a long gray cloak, although it was warm outside. She handed the boy a stone. It looked like a very ordinary stone. "What is it?" the boy asked warily. He knew that adults don't give anything away for nothing. "It's an egg. The queen of all ants sleeps in it. You can order her around, and she'll pass your orders on to the ants." The woman shoved the stone into the boy's hands, turned around and began to leave. "Hey," the boy called, but the woman disappeared as if she had fallen through the ground. The boy brought home a stone and ordered, "I want the ants to come here." He waited a bit, but nothing happened. "I cheated," the boy thought disappointedly, threw a stone and went outside to play. But when he returned, he saw that an army of ants was waiting for him on the table. They lined up like soldiers and waited. The boy was delighted and ordered the ants to fight until they killed each other. The next day, he brought the stone with him to school. And in the middle of the lesson, the teacher ran out of the classroom screaming she was attacked by ants. Then the boy forced the ants to attack a hornet's nest, which he saw under the roof of a barn near the house. The wasps easily killed the ants, but there were a lot more ants, and in the end they won. The boy began to come up with someone else to set the ants on. He noticed that the queen ant's egg was getting bigger, but did not pay attention to it. Soon it stopped fitting in his pocket, and the boy hid it in the closet. But then it stopped fitting in the closet. Then the boy put the egg under the bed. If the ants were big, the boy could have made a real army out of them, but the ants were still too small, and they couldn't even cope with the neighbor's cat. Disappointed in the ants, the boy lit a large fire and forced all the ants that were nearby to go straight into the fire. So he burned a lot of ants. The next night, the boy woke up to hear the egg under his bed crackling, as if someone was moving inside. When the boy looked under the bed, he was scared to see how big the queen ant's egg had become. "We need to kill her before she grows even bigger," the boy decided. He brought a large knife from the kitchen and hit the egg with it. But the knife did not pierce the eggshell. Then the boy brought a hammer and began to hit the egg with it. The egg survived, but cracks appeared on it. And suddenly the boy heard laughter. When he looked up, he saw a woman sitting on the window. The one who gave him the egg. Only her cloak wasn't a cloak at all, it was big wings. And the woman had antennae on her head, like ants. The boy was scared, but he didn't show it. "Take your egg," he said to the woman. "I don't need your ant queen anymore. If you don't take it, I'll kill her." The woman laughed again. "Fool, the queen of the ants is me, and in the egg is your death. You fed her yourself." The boy looked at the egg again, and I saw that it was almost split open, and huge ant paws were sticking out from inside. And then the shell burst and a huge ant grabbed the boy with its mandibles and lifted him up. "Now we'll see how you'll crawl if we tear off all your paws," said the queen of the ants, "and to make you crawl faster, we'll burn you with a burning stick." And the boy screamed. In the morning, Mom and Dad found the boy dead. His arms and legs were torn off, as if someone had chewed them, and his face and hair were badly burned. The police found a lot of footprints in the room, but they couldn't figure out who it was. And the next night, children began to die in the city. Dinner at a party, horror story. One boy's mother died. A year later, his dad met another woman and said he was going to marry her. When the boy saw this woman, he did not like her. There was something about her that made the boy's skin crawl. Although there was nothing terrible about her, on the contrary, she was very beautiful. The boy did not say anything to his dad, because he did not know how to explain why he was afraid. "I have a daughter too. She's almost the same age as you. Her name is Ida and you can play with her," the woman told the boy, and he thought that maybe she was afraid in vain. One day, he and Dad went to visit this woman. When they entered, the boy immediately saw her daughter. The girl was also very beautiful. She had long blonde hair, big dark eyes, and very fair skin. The boy greeted her, but the girl did not answer. "She doesn't talk," the woman said, "but she understands everything." The girl nodded. "Go play for a while," the woman said. "Ida, show him your dolls." The girl got up and walked in front. The boy followed her. When they entered the room, the girl sat down on the bed, took the doll, a comb, and began to comb the doll's hair as long as the girl's own. The boy looked around the room. There were a lot of dolls in the room. The dolls were very different and so well made that it seemed like they were real people, only small ones. like the doors in a fairy tale. But the boy was scared again. It seemed to him that the dolls were looking at him intently. In order not to look at the dolls, the boy turned to the girl and began to watch her play with the doll. And he almost screamed, only now seeing that the girl had no hands, they were replaced by prostheses. The boy looked at Ida for a long time, or rather at her hands, and could not take his eyes off them. Sometimes it seemed to him that these were real hands, the girl handled them so well. But still, he wanted to get out of the room as soon as possible, where the dolls were watching his every move, and generally out of this house. "Children, go eat," the boy heard and hurried out of the room. But then he suddenly felt someone grab his arm. He turned and saw Ida. She held his hand with her prosthetics and shook her head as if she wanted to say no. "Do you want to play more?" the boy asked, but the girl kept shaking her head. "No. I don't understand what you want," the boy said. But then a woman appeared and Ida immediately released the boy. "Hurry up," the woman said, "or the food will get completely cold." They sat down at the table and began to eat. The food was very tasty, especially the chicken wings, which the boy liked very much, even though they had a strange sweet taste. And Dad liked them too. And after eating, the boy completely forgot about his fears. And he was even a little surprised that he was afraid of a woman and Ida. He thought that the woman was actually very good, and Ida was also good, just a little strange. "Did you like it?" Dad asked as they walked home. The boy nodded. He no longer remembered at all what he was afraid of, but only remembered how good it was to be a guest. But at night the boy woke up from a severe pain in his stomach. The pain was so intense, as if something was cutting his insides with sharp claws. It's not something, the boy suddenly realized, it's hands. Ida's hands, which we ate like chicken wings. Therefore, the meat had a sweet taste. After all, it was human meat. And now those hands were alive and trying to get out. The boy screamed from fear and pain, and I heard his dad screaming in the other room. The last thing the boy had time to think about was that Ida would soon have 2 more dolls.